Good morning, class 10 students. Now we'll discuss the further topics of our chapter 3. Okay? So I'm starting with, that is, we have already started. Now this is chapter 3, lecture 3 of class 10th. Now our today's topic will be ionic compounds. Ionic compounds. So what do you mean by ionic compounds? Can anyone of you tell what do you mean by ionic compounds? Ionic compounds are formed by the combination of ions. And what are ions? Ions are positively or negatively charged chemical compounds. The positive or negatively charged chemical species are called ions. So ionic compounds are compounds that are made up from ions, that are made from ions. Okay? Ionic compounds are the compounds that are made from ions. And what do you mean by the term ions? Ions are charged species. Charged chemical species are called ions. These charged chemical species are called ions. Ions on the basis of charge can be divided into two types. That is, an ion may be positively charged. It may be positively charged. Or the next, it may be negatively charged. These are the two types of ions. The positively charged ions are called cations. Okay? The positively charged ions are called cations. And the negatively charged ions are what? Anion. These are the negatively charged ions, and cations are the positively charged ions. So this is what do you mean by the term ions. Now what we have to study are the properties of ionic compounds, that is their physical nature, their solubility, melting boiling point, electrical conductivity and some other. So first of all, giving you an example of ions. Let's suppose we have an ion that is Na+. This is sodium Na+, and I have another ion Cl-, chloride ion. Na+ here is our cation and Cl- is our anion. When this cation and anion combine together, they undergo a reaction. So what we get is, we get a compound NaCl. You know Na is +1 here, Cl is -1. When you cross multiply both, then you get +1 -1, we get 0. So no need to write 1 or anything, we get a neutral compound which is an ionic compound. This NaCl, which is sodium chloride, it is a neutral ionic compound. Okay? This NaCl obtained is a neutral ionic compound. Don't get confused with the terms that it is ionic, then how come it can be a neutral? Ionic means it is made up of ions. The term ionic means those compounds which are made from ions. And neutral means this compound has no net charge. It is neither positive, it is neither negative. We are not writing NaCl plus or minus, +2, -3, nothing. So neutral means which has no net charge. Ionic compounds already mentioned that it is made up of ions. And neutral means the compound which have no net charge. That is, they have no net means no final charge is present on the compound. Okay? If I take Al +3, this is aluminium ion. Then I take Cl-. This is a chloride anion. Negatively charged ions are anion. Positively charged ions are called cations. So if I want to make a compound aluminium chloride, if I want to obtain aluminium chloride, then what is the formula? You first write the symbol of aluminium. Aluminium means Al. Then you write the symbol of chloride, which is Cl. The charge on aluminium is +3. The charge on Cl is -1. Then you cross multiply the charges. So you get Al1. When you cross multiply, you don't have to put the signs. You just have to multiply the number. That is, Al gets 1 and Cl gets 3. So what we get as formula is AlCl3. This would be the formula for aluminium chloride. And hence you can see I have not written anything, no charge, that is AlCl3 minus or +2. Or I have not written AlCl3 -3. So when no net charge, when there is no final charge on any compound, these are called neutral. So this AlCl3 compound formed, these are the wrong formulas. The correct formula is AlCl3 and it is a neutral compound because it has no final charge written on it. And why this is called an ionic compound? Is AlCl3 an ionic compound? Definitely yes. It is a ionic compound. Why it is ionic? Because it is made from ions. And from which ions it is made? It is made up of two ions, that is Al+3 and 3Cl-. We are taking one ion of Al+3 and we are taking 3 ions of Cl-. When one aluminium ion combines with 3 chloride ions, then we get AlCl3, which is our neutral ionic compound. Neutral because no net charge is present on the compound, and ionic because it is made from ions. When these ions reacted together, they combine to form this ionic compound. So this is a neutral ionic compound. I hope now the concept is clear. What do you mean by neutral? Neutral compounds which do not carry any net charge, any final charge. And ionic means the compounds which are made from ions. Or you can say, I have told you earlier, ionic means such compounds which are made by the exchange or transfer of electrons. These are made by transfer of electrons. That is, this aluminium has lost its 3 electrons. It had 3 extra electrons, so it lost its electron. जो electron दे देता है, they have a plus charge. And this chloride, 3 chloride each have accepted one electron. Aluminium gave, this Al gave 3 electrons. Okay? Because it lost its electron, it became plus. And how many electrons it's lost? 1, 2, 3. So it became +3. Then we have what? Cl. We have Cl3, that is we have 3 Cls here. Now we have 3 atoms of chloride. This electron is occupied by this Cl. This chloride attracts or takes up this electron. The next electron is taken by the next chloride, and the third electron is taken by the third chloride. This chloride has gained electron. It has taken electron. And electron, you know, electron is a negatively charged particle. So when you take up any negative particle, you will get a negative sign. So because this chloride has taken an electron which is negative, so this chloride becomes what? It becomes Cl-. And how much electron it has taken? It has taken 1 electron. So we write Cl-1. And if there is 1, you don't have to mention it. This is also correct. Or if you write Cl-, this minus sign means there is 1 electron. Because agar 1 se zyada honge, then we have to write the number, that is 2, 5, 10, how much electrons it has taken. So these both forms are correct. Either you write Cl- or you may write Cl-1. That is, minus means it has taken electron and 1 means it has taken 1 electron. So this is what do you mean. These are the basic concepts, and I want you to clear all your basics, okay? So you will get no problem in further studies. But if you just cram or mug up the things and you don't clear your basic concept, that is, if you don't know the difference between neutral, the meaning of the word ionic, then you will not understand the further concepts which we'll study. Like in the 4th chapter, if we will study carbon and its compound, there you will see a new word, that is covalent. So if you don't know ionic, and if I'll tell the difference that covalent means the different from ionic, then how will you? You will not get anything. Okay? You will not be able to understand. So please understand, ionic means made up of ions. Neutral means it has no net or final charge. That is, any compound AB, it has no plus or minus charge written on it, then we call it neutral. And if it is made up of ions, that is, if it is made by transfer of electrons. How ions are made? Ions are made by transfer of electron. This aluminium atom is converted into the ion of aluminium by losing electrons. This Cl atom, chlorine atom, is converted into chloride ion by gaining electron. So when any atom loses electron or gains electron, it becomes a ion. Because jitne electrons lose karega, then it would get a plus charge and the number will be equal to the number of electrons lost. If this atom, Cl atom, has taken up, has gained electron, so it has got a negative charge. And how many electrons it has taken? This Cl has taken 1 electron. So we write minus 1. Understood? I hope this all concepts are crystal clear now. Now what we are doing is the topic mentioned in your book. That is, you have to study properties of ionic compounds. What are the properties of ionic compounds? So the first property which you should know, the first property is physical state. Okay? The first property which you should know about ionic compound, what is their physical state? So in physical state, what do you have? Ionic compounds are in the form of crystals. Okay? So I write they are crystalline solid. You all know ionic compound is a solid. To understand ionic compound, imagine a crystal of sugar or a particle of salt in your mind. Ionic compound, the example is sugar crystal. You all know, na? I hope you all have seen sugar crystal. Then you have what? Salt crystal. So keep them in mind. So first property, their physical state. What is sugar? Sugar is a solid. Because it is a solid, okay, the physical state I have written solid. I have added a word crystalline because these solids, the solids may be of two types. Solids can be of two types. They can be crystalline. Crystalline means they have a particular shape. They may be square, they may be triangle, it may be rhombus or kite shape, but they have a particular distinct boundaries and distinct shape. So the solids which are having a definite shape, a fixed shape, are called crystalline. That is, they are in the form of crystals. And the next type, which what we call is amorphous. In amorphous, these particles do not have any definite shape. They may be triangle, they may be circular or spherical, they may be semicircular, everything. In the powdered form, what solid we have? Generally we have amorphous in the powdered form. If you crush anything, if you crush the crystals of sugar, then you would get different shapes of particle. The particles which will be finely crushed will be, suppose, spherical. Then the particles, if this is the sugar crystal, okay, while crushing, if it gets fully crushed, then you would get some spherical particles. If the next crystal you take, you crush it only once, then you would get triangular crystals. And if you crush it very lightly, then might that only this region breaks off. So you would get a shape like this and a smaller triangular particle. So you would get two shapes. So amorphous means which do not have a particular shape. They contain a mixture of shapes. But crystalline means all the particles have a similar shape. So these ionic compounds are having a physical state of crystalline solids. Okay? So I hope you get what do you mean by crystalline solids. These ionic particles are present in the form of crystalline solids. Now next what we have, the second property. Okay, one more property, these are hard in nature. Physical state, they are crystalline solid, then they are hard, they are not soft. But they are not that hard. If we try to break them, if you apply pressure, they will break. So they are hard, but they are brittle. These are two contrasting properties. That is, if you can take the crystals in hand, they will not break. If you take sugar crystals in your hand, they will not break. So they are considered hard. But if you apply some force or some pressure on the particles, it would definitely break down. So they are known as brittle. Please understand the meaning of all the words. Crystalline solids, they are hard. You can take the crystal in your hand. But if you apply any amount of pressure, it would break. So these crystals are called brittle. So these things you will include in your answer when you are writing the physical state. Now next point, the second point comes, their melting and boiling point. Melting point and boiling point. So these ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. Their melting and boiling point are high. Okay? Why do their melting and boiling points require more energy? Why the value is higher? Because they contain, that is, they means ionic compounds. Because ionic compounds contain strong forces of attraction. Strong force of attraction between their particles. Okay, between their particles. And this force is also given a name. The force present between particles of ionic compounds. What are the particles of ionic compound? Ions. So the force present between two ions. Okay, in a compound we have two ions, and the force present between two ions is very strong in nature, and this force is known as electrostatic force. They have what kind of force? They have electrostatic force in between the particles. So the ions or the particles of ionic compounds have strong force of attraction. It is very strong in nature, and this force is called electrostatic force. Because this force is very strong, so we require larger amount of energy. Energy either in the form of heat or in the form of light. We studied decomposition reaction. To break any compound, that is, to break any compound means to destroy its particles, to destroy the force between the particles, not the particles. To destroy the force between the particles, you have to provide energy. And the agents for decomposition were, I told you to learn the agents with the help of a trick. If you have not watched that videos, please go and refer to chapter 1 videos, okay? There you will find. So to break the forces of attraction present between any type of compound, we do decomposition. Okay, we break down the forces. And the agents are, you can use heat energy, you can heat the compound, and this heat energy will break the strong force of attraction. Or you can use electricity, that is electric current, or you can use light. If you use heat, external heat, to break the compound or to break the forces of the compound, then it is called thermodecomposition. Okay? If you use light, it is called photodecomposition. Decomposition means breaking the forces, and photo means in the presence of light. And if you use current, it is called electrolytic decomposition. These all we have dealt, so we are not going in the detail. I am just refreshing your previous knowledge. So you can break down these forces of attraction. And if these forces of attraction break down, then these forces require very high amount of energy. Energy may be in the form of heat, current or light. But you require very high amount of light or heat because these are strong in nature. स्ट्रॉन्ग फोर्सेस को ब्रेक करने के लिए आपको बहुत ज़्यादा हीट सप्लाई करनी पड़ेगी. एंड इफ़ यू प्रोवाइड मोर हीट इंक्रीज होने से व्हाट वुड इंक्रीज? द टेम्परेचर विल इंक्रीज. इफ़ you want more heat because the forces are strong. To break the strong forces, you supply larger amount of heat, and this heat works to increase the temperature. And melting boiling point is what? Point means the temperature. That value of temperature on which a solid melt is called melting point. So its melting point would be high because this heat is doing what? It is increasing the temperature. Okay, so we have high melting and boiling point in ionic compounds. Then what we discuss is, we discuss the physical state, then melting and boiling points. Then we discuss intermolecular forces. Interionic forces I must write. I have already discussed, just writing it so you know that it is also a separate property of the compound. Interionic forces means force. Okay? Focus here how I am writing the definition. I am explaining you how to learn this. Interionic force is a kind of force which is present between what? Inter here means between. Inter का मतलब है between. And ionic matlab between the ions. So the force which is present between ions is called interionic force. So definition I have already told you. The force which is present between ions in an ionic compound is called interionic force. Okay? And this force which is present in ionic compound is very strong. This force is known as electrostatic force. It is called electrostatic force. That is, electrostatic force is present between the ions in the intermolecular force or between the ions in an ionic compound. And this electrostatic force is very strong in nature. It is a strong force. So this is the third property of ionic compound, that is ionic compound possess interionic forces. Interionic matlab दो ions के बीच में present forces are called interionic. And this exact name of the force is electrostatic force, and this electrostatic force is very strong. Now coming on to the next property, that is solubility. The next property is solubility. Ionic compounds, you know, are made up of ions, that is, they are made from charged particles. So ionic compounds are soluble in water. Ionic compounds are soluble in water, okay, and water-like liquids. They are completely dissolve. They are completely soluble in water and water-like liquids, but they are insoluble in liquids like kerosene or petrol or oil, etc. Ionic compound easily is dissolved in water and water-like liquids, but they don't dissolve in kerosene, petrol, oil. They are not soluble, they are insoluble in such liquids. Okay? So this is what you want to know about the solubility. We will not go for the reason that why these are soluble in water and why not in this. You will read a principle. I am just giving you a hint that like dissolves like. What does this means? That ionic compounds are made up of ions. When we dissolve ionic compound in water, it gets dissociated into ions. Let's suppose here I take a ionic compound AB. If I dissolve the ionic compound in water, what will I get? I would get A plus and B minus. Whenever an ionic compound is dissolved in water, it will break into its ions, and the ions obtained are A positive and B negative. And we have water here. Water is also made up of ions. So if I dissociate water, I would get H plus and OH minus. Okay, so as you know that this ionic compound is also made from ions, and the solvent what we are using is also made from ions. So both of them have ionic nature. This means if you take an ionic compound and you dissolve it in, we say such solvents which can break into ions are called polar solvents. Okay? Those solvents which can be broken down to produce different ions are called polar solvent. So ionic compounds, this ionic compound is soluble in polar. But taking kerosene or petrol, these are non-polar solvents. That is, these solvents will not break into ions. Non-polar means they form no ions. They never form ions. So we say that if you take a ionic compound and your solvent is polar, that is which can form ions, so we say like dissolves like. So ionic compound is dissolved in polar solvents and not in these non-polar solvents. Okay, this is a basic reason. So you should remember why ionic compounds dissolve in water but they do not dissolve in kerosene or petrol. Because kerosene and petrol are non-polar, non-polar means they will form no type of ions. So these are non-polar and ionic compounds will remain insoluble. Then the next property is electrical conductivity. Electrical conductivity of ionic compounds. This topic we have also discussed when we were discussing acids and bases. I said that if you take dry acid, if you take HCl in any form, that is in gaseous form or in solid form, if you are taking HCl in gaseous form, then it will release no ions, or I say it will show no acidic behavior. No acidic behavior is seen. Okay? So if you take dry acid or dry base, they will not show their behavior because in dry condition, gaseous state means dry state. In dry condition, they are not able to release, they will not release their H plus ion. And if H plus ion, or if we are talking for base, then base will not release OH minus ions. And if the hydroxide or H plus ions are not released, then they will not show any acidic or basic properties. For showing acidic or basic properties, this acid, or if you take any base, let's suppose NaOH, the acid and base should be in aqueous medium. Aqueous medium means these acid and base should be mixed with water. Once acid and base are mixed in water, they dissociate into ions and then show their respective properties. Similar is the case with ionic compounds. If you take dry ionic compound, dry means if you take ionic compound in a solid state, then this dry ionic compound means the ionic compound in solid state will not conduct electricity. Will not conduct electricity. Okay? But if you take this ionic compound in aqueous form, or if you take your ionic compound and dissolve in it water, that means you get an aqueous form of the ionic compound, you get a solution. And now this aqueous form will definitely conduct electricity. It will conduct electricity. So the conduction of electricity occurs only when we take the aqueous form. Why so? This is okay. We knew that a dry ionic compound, that is ionic compound in solid state, will not conduct electricity. But if I dissolve it in water, if I get the aqueous state, then ionic compound will break in ions and then the ions will conduct electricity. But how? What is the actual mechanism behind this conduction of electricity? So we say that for conduction of electricity requires what? Conduction of electricity requires movement of ions, motion of ions. Okay, this is the required condition, that if the ions are free to move, they will conduct electricity. Movement of ions. Ions are what? Positively or negatively charged species. When positively or negatively charged species are free to move in the medium, then electricity is generated or electricity is transported. So in solid state, you know they do not conduct electricity. Why? Because in solid state you have ions. Of course, ionic compounds are made up of ions, but in solid state, all these ions are closely packed. Okay? This is a solid ionic compound. this is a solid ionic compound. You see all the circles, the particles I have made, they are closely packed. They do not have the space to move. They are joined together by large force of attraction, so they can't move. And if they can't move, movement is required. If in solid the particles can't move, solid ionic compound, the ions or the particles can't move. Because you have studied in 9th class, in the states of matter, solids have high force of attraction. The particles in solid are fixed. They can't freely move. So if the particles will not move, they will not conduct any kind of electricity. No conduction is observed. While when you dissolve it in aqueous medium, the ions become free to move. You know aqueous medium means liquid state. In solid state, the ions are closely packed, but in liquid state, the ions can move. They can show random motion. And as the ions are free to move, they will conduct electricity. So this is the reason behind why the solid ionic compound does not conduct electricity, while the aqueous solution of the same compound conducts electricity. I hope the reason is well clear. Okay, because in solids the ions cannot move, and if they cannot move, they cannot conduct electricity. But in aqueous medium, the ions are free to move, because you know in liquid state the forces are less compared to solid, so they can move. And once they can move, if we have the motion of ions, then electricity will definitely be conducted. So this was the reason behind why ionic compounds conduct electricity in liquid state or in aqueous states. Okay? Now what we have to study next? Now we have a new topic, that is occurrence of metals. We have to study occurrence of metals. What do you mean by occurrence of metals? Occurrence of metals, the branch of science which deals with their extraction of metals, refining of metals, is called metallurgy. So first you should know metallurgy. You'll also have a chapter of metallurgy in further classes. Metallurgy is a branch of science which deals with extraction of metals, then concentration of metals, and refining of metals to get the metal in the pure form. This is what metallurgy means. Okay, in mines, from where does the metals are extracted? Metals are present in what? We have a major source of metal, which is our Earth's crust. Earth crust is the major source of metals, major source to get metals. Then a minor source can also be the seawater bed. Okay, seawater bed is the most bottom layer of the sea. It is a minor source. It is estimated that about 78 to 84% of all the metals available are taken from the Earth's crust, and the remaining are taken, some metals are also taken from the seawater or the seawater bed. So occurrence of metals. Metals can occur on the Earth crust or inside the Earth crust or inside the seawater bed. Earth crust contains 78 to 84% of the total metals known, and the remaining are found in seawater. So seawater acts as a minor source. And this, what all we study of metals, is basically called metallurgy. Metallurgy is a branch of science which deals with various techniques of extraction of metals. That is, how will you extract the metals. I hope you have heard about mining. Mining is what? When you dug deep into the ground, when you dig deep into the ground, okay, to extract, to get the metals, it is called mining. Okay, the process of mining is digging into the ground, digging deep into the ground. to get your desired metal is called mining. So this metallurgy means different process involved in mining. So let's make a flow chart which is also given in your books. Before that, I would like to explain certain terms. The first term would be a mineral. What do you mean by the term mineral? Then you have a term ore, then comes gangue. These are the three terms. Before starting this topic, you should know what do you mean by these three terms, okay? This is ore. So mineral means all the metals present in the earths are called minerals. Minerals are basically the substance present in Earth's crust are called minerals. Minerals are the substance which are present in the Earth's crust in the form of rocks. Generally in the form of large rocks. So these are called minerals. Now what we have? Ore. Let's suppose you go on a mining, okay? You want to mine your minerals. What you do is you dig deep pits in the ground, deep holes you make in the ground. Then what you will find, let's suppose it is a gold mine, okay? We are trying to extract gold. We are trying to extract our gold. Then the first procedure would be digging the ground. We dig deep into the ground. You will not find gold on the surface, okay? You have to go very deep into the earth's crust to find your gold. So first is digging into the ground, which is a deep digging. Then what you do is, you will obtain stones. You will see some stones which contain gold. Let's suppose I found two rocks which contains our metal gold. Gold is a metal, so it contains gold, maximum amount of gold, and this rock has very less amount of gold. These are the large rocks or stones. So minerals, the substance present in earth's crust, or I would write, these are the large rocks present in earth crust which contain metals. The metal present in the earth crust in the form of large rocks are called minerals. So these two stones, when you were digging your earth, then you found two stones, stone A and stone B. Stone A contained large amount of your gold metal, and stone B has very less amount of gold, okay? This red dots show the amount of gold. You can see that it contains a large amount of gold and this has very less amount of gold. Now which stone you can select? You will say I'll bring both the stones because it also has some gold in it. But no, both the stones are not selected if talking about industrial scale. So this stone, this mineral, the stone is called mineral. This mineral which has large amount of gold metal is called ore. So ores are the minerals which contain large amount of metal. Okay. So we get many minerals, many stones in our earth crust, but the mineral which is having high amount of metal is called ore. So we would select our mineral A because it contains a high amount of gold metal, and this mineral will be called as a ore. This is our ore. This would not be selected because on industrial scale, if I try to extract so little amount of gold from such a huge mineral, then it becomes much expensive. The process becomes much expensive. So we do not select this mineral B. We select our mineral A, which is called ore because it has a large amount of metal. But if you can see, you have this mineral, you want only the gold. But with this gold, you have many more other things. What do you have? You have your sand, and you have small stone particles, and many more impurities. So these impurities other than our metal, impurities present in the ore other than our metal are called gangue. Okay, so I hope these terms are clear. What do you mean by mineral, ore and gangue? Ore is the mineral which contains maximum amount of your desired metal, and the leftover impurities which are present in the ore with your metal is nothing but gangue. So this was a basic of metallurgy or the extraction process of metals. Now in the next class we'll see different techniques. I have already told you the reactivity series of metal. Do learn that reactivity series. So when I'll explain the next topics, then you will understand them clearly. Thank you for joining the class. I hope you will understand all the topics and will continue with our classes. Thank you.